My name is Annie. I live with my husband Jay and a black cat as a pet, Pepper. I have known Pepper since I brought her home when I was single, so we have been together for about 5 years now. There was nothing wrong with my marriage, but the relationship between Jay and his parents was bothering me. He was raised by his father very strictly. No video games, no TV. He was not even allowed to hang out with his friends. Because of this lifestyle, he never made any friends. Until he met me, he had a very dark personality. It was 2 years after Jay and I got married that my father-in-law, who was such a strict man, passed away. He collapsed suddenly when he was eating breakfast, and he's gone then. It's not that my mother-in-law served him something for breakfast. My father-in-law used to take the medicines for hypertension. The doctor said he had a myocardial infarction caused by his hypertension. When my father-in-law passed away, I asked Jay if he was doing okay. For some reason, he had a smile on his face. No one can stand in my way anymore. The face of Jay and the way he muttered while looking at the portrait of his father, it was quite creepy. No matter how bad a parent he was, don't you think it's normal to show at least a hint of grief? To be honest, from that moment on, I became afraid of Jay. It was as if he had become a different person, like he was possessed by the devil, that kind of fear. Then, a week later, after the funeral of Jay's father and finishing various other formalities, Jay changed drastically. Jay had gambled away all the money we had set aside for our home. Don't you want to live in a mansion? When I tried to warn him, he yelled at me, and I was so horrified by his change that I couldn't stop him. Sure enough, all the money we had for our home was wiped out. I was shocked, but decided to hope that this would wake Jay up. But reality was not so sweet. Apparently, Jay could not forget the pleasure of gambling. He even started to spend our living expenses. He was completely addicted to gambling. He would only bet on the biggest jackpot, saying that the crazier the better. He never hit the jackpot. And even if he gambles on the high probability one sometimes, he never won. Jay didn't have the slightest talent for gambling. By the way, don't tell him that the number I predicted was the winning number. Jay is a salesman for a big company. I work from home and live in my in-laws' house since my father-in-law passed away. After setting aside some savings for the future and for living expenses, the rest of our salary was free for each of us to spend as we please. But ever since he put the money saved for our new home into gambling, he started putting his hands in all kinds of money. My wallet too, of course. Gambling addiction will improve if people around control it thoroughly. That's what the book said, so I tried everything that seemed to work for Jay. But when I told him I will manage the housework finances, since we would suffer if we took our living expenses, he yelled at me and refused, saying, "You're going to steal my money, you thief." When I explained to him about his gambling addiction, he was furious and threw the remote controller at me, saying, "I'm not insane, I'm normal." When he threw the remote controller at me, it almost hit Pepper, so that I evacuated Pepper to my room. Then he started yelling, "So your cat is more important than me?" And no matter what I said to him, he wouldn't understand about gambling addiction. And moreover, he threw things at me again and again, and I realized there was nothing I could do. Gambling is more important to me than you. If he says something like that, you would think so too. It had been 6 months since my father-in-law passed away, and my mother-in-law was completely unaware of Jay's situation. It seemed that Jay was lying to my mother-in-law that he only gambles with his allowance. He was trying very hard not to show his bad side, especially to his mother. To Jay, his mother was the only person who will spoil him and heal him. She was the complete opposite of his father. If my father-in-law was the devil, my mother-in-law was the angel. I think he wanted to avoid being hated from her, but I didn't want him to use me to avoid being hated from her. Actually, my mother-in-law said to me today,
"Annie, Jay told me, but you shouldn't complain about every single thing your husband does. A wife should obey to her husband without complaining."
She kept on and on about it. "But mother, Jay is always saying terrible things to me."
"I'm his mother, so I understand everything about Jay. He's a sensitive boy. He never said terrible things. But because of you, he had no choice but to say them."
My mother-in-law was so sarcastic. When I was about to say, "But it's necessary for his gambling rehabilitation,"
"Well, I think you're overreacting. You should allow him to gamble a little. You don't know anything because you just stay at home, but men have social life. Jay used to gamble once a month to relieve stress. You should stop meddling. Oh, and you should level up your housekeeping skills instead. I check your room from time to time. It's so dusty. No one could live in a place like that. You're a lazy wife."
"Did you go into my room without telling me? Is that why my work tools are missing?"
"How can those things be work tools? You don't even have a job to begin with. My son said you're a stay-home parasite."
I've explained to Jay that I work from home. I've even taken him to meet the people I work with. He even talked to them and greeted them. And he calls me a parasite? Does gambling addiction even make a person lose his memory?
"Besides, everything in this house is mine. I'm free to throw it away or sell it. If you don't want to be evicted, don't disobey me."
Before I could say anything back, she left with a big smile on her face. When my father-in-law died, she changed. She became more devilish, mean, and bullying. When I complained to Jay about it, "You call my mother a thief? Are you going to use that story as an excuse to beg me for things? You're a wicked bitch." He won't believe me. He just yelled at me. Why did I marry such a man? Why did I put up with him and not abandon him? This thought was growing stronger every day. And when I finally discovered that Jay had even gotten his hands on my savings, something snapped inside me. I'm getting a divorce. It was the only way. If I continued to live like this, I would be doomed to hell. But I didn't think they would let go of me so easily, of someone who they could just treat like a nice housekeeper. I couldn't imagine that they would simply nod their heads when I asked them for a divorce. Just when I was hesitating, someone unexpectedly came to my rescue.
"Hey, Annie, I have a favor to ask you,"
said my mother-in-law in a coquettish voice. To say the least, I was sickened.
"Will you divorce Jay?" "Of course, you're a parasite with no money. How about $100,000 says alimony?"
Divorce with alimony? I thought I was dreaming, so I scratched my arm with Pepper's fingernail. It hurt. It wasn't a dream.
"I can understand why you don't want to leave Jay. He's the husband you loved. But you know what? I've never forgiven you. You were always trying to get Jay's attention by making me the bad one. But you're not good enough for Jay. Jay is tired of you too. He says that you spend the money he saved together for the house, but you spend it all on your own.
What? I couldn't say anything. He blamed me for spending the money.
But Jay said he'll forgive you since he has a big heart. But I can't forgive you. So I'd like you to accept the $100,000 on the condition that you stay out of our lives.
I almost screamed that he was lying about the whole thing, but I didn't think my mother-in-law would listen to me. I was racking my brains thinking if I could just let it all go away like this. I have an idea. Maybe I could get a divorce with alimony and just give these two a hard time. Besides, if it's my mother-in-law's opinion, Jay wouldn't deny the divorce. For what the angels say is absolute. I understand, and I will gladly accept your offer. I can't thank you enough for also considering my future. I forced a smile on my face and bowed to her. Then, under the leadership of my mother-in-law, the divorce proceedings so smoothly completed. All of my savings were used, but thanks to the unbelievable alimony, I got my money back. I got a note from my mother-in-law about the alimony, just in case, but I'm relieved to know what the money was transferred to my account right away. The source of this $100,000 was probably my father-in-law's inheritance, but it didn't matter to me anymore. I rented a room near my office and started living with my cat Pepper. It has a walk-in closet and a loft, which I had always dreamed of. I even added a catwalk to the wall, and Pepper and I are overjoyed. The power of money is incredible. Now that I've taken the plunge and rented a nice room, I can now spend my days in peace. My ex-husband and my mother-in-law are gradually fading from my memory. I wish I could just forget about them, but I know that won't happen. 4 months later, I got a call from my mother-in-law.
Annie, why didn't you tell me? Please help me.
I was shocked to hear my mother-in-law's voice, which was weaker than I had imagined.
I regret kicking you out. Please help me.
My mother-in-law began to explain the situation. The reason my mother-in-law wanted the divorce in the first place was because my ex-husband told her that I would rather live with you than a wife like that. I'll take care of you for the rest of my life. My mother-in-law, who loves her son more than everything, immediately agreed and prepared a large sum of money so they could get divorced as soon as possible. After the divorce, they immediately started living together. She didn't know that Jay was a gambling addict. From now on, I can take care of the family finances. He asked her to put all the family assets under his name.
I am so blessed that I have a good son to take care of me. Besides, this house was going to be inherited to you anyways. There will be no problem if I change the name now.
My mother-in-law nodded as if to say no problem. She didn't know that it was the worst possible choice. My ex-husband started to show his true colors as soon as the name was put in his name. For starters, he took out a real estate mortgage using his parents' house as collateral. He used the money to gamble again. It was only yesterday that my mother-in-law found out about it. She received a foreclosure notice from the lender and found out about it.
What the hell is this?
He asked my ex-husband about it.
Oh, that. I used it to gamble. You got a problem with that?
He replied, just like that. She then asked Jay a lot of questions. Apparently, he had mortgaged his parents' house to pay off his gambling debts, but he used the money to gamble again. Jay said, "If I won all at once, I'll be a millionaire." The horse is undefeated so far. There was no way he could lose, so he put all the money in. And then, at the last minute, the horse fell down and the most unlikely horse won the race. This horse had never won a race before. It is said to be the biggest miracle of the century. Jay was a natural-born loser gambler. Too stupid. He repeatedly defaulted on his payments, and it had been more than 6 months since his last payment. My mother-in-law was horrified to find out that he had spent every penny of her husband's inheritance, savings, and salary that he had. In addition, Jay said, "It's okay, Mom. Next time, I'll earn money from bicycle racing instead of horse racing. So, give me the rest of Dad's inheritance." That's what he told her. When my mother-in-law replied that the money was almost gone due to my alimony, Jay was furious. "Why did you pay her alimony without telling me? And $100,000? If I had that much money, I could have doubled it by gambling." He was very rude to her. My mother-in-law contacted me and asked me to return the $100,000. "I can't do that. I have a note."
Can you do something about it? We were a family. Please, please.
My mother-in-law cried and pleaded it with me, but her tears wasn't worth a penny. I'd even filed a claim for mental anguish instead. "I don't care what you say. Please work hard and pay back." I tried to hang up the phone, but my mother-in-law's attitude changed drastically.
"You can't talk to me like that when your family is desperately asking you for a favor. You cold-blooded person. You should feel sorry for us and at least think about it a little."
I sighed deeply. You know what? I have pointed out his gambling habit to you many times. You were the one who ignored what I said and make fun of me. This wouldn't have happened if you believed even a little bit of what I said. Look, this is all your own fault, you know?
That's because I didn't know. I didn't know that gambling addiction was that serious. And I would have at least listened to you if you would have insisted.
Yes, it's all your fault. Take responsibility. That's the kind of mother she is. That's why he grew up like that. You two are really alike, you know. You can't even tell when your son is lying. You're a real joke. And it's your son who gambled away your savings. Did I use it? It was all your son's fault. He deserved it. Thanks to you, we're strangers now, so you have to take responsibility for your family. My mother-in-law, perhaps intimidated by my attitude, became silent, but she still hadn't given up.
"All right. $50,000. All I have to do is pretend that you stole it from me. Then we can sue you and get back to $100,000.
You know, this call is recorded just in case. I knew you were going to say something like that. Besides, I have a note."
Wait a minute.
You're going to sue me to get back the $100,000? Why don't you give it a try? Maybe you can win. Do you have the money to sue? Should I lend it to you?
Okay.
Oh, you've become a monkey? Then I guess I can't talk to you anymore. Goodbye. After that, my mother-in-law went to a lawyer's office for advice, but I heard she was turned away at the door. "Consult with us for free. You can pay the cost for suing." That's what she was trying to tell him. Of course she would be turned away. A few days after the phone call, Jay asked me to get back together with him. He no longer had anything to put up as collateral, and he was completely behind his payment. I heard that some men in black suits were visiting his house every day now. The house had been sold, and they had to move out in a few days. Jay, who has no money, has nowhere to go. Even if he escaped, he would be caught by the men in black suits. So I want you to hide me. He also wants me to pay his debts. I told him he could ask his co-workers for help. The men in black suits started visiting him at work. The company found out that he was in debt. Jay, who still can't stop gambling, he was fired for disturbing the public morals of the company. He had a small severance pay, but he used it in gambling again. He's really a hopeless person. Hey, let me live with you. I apologize for everything. Don't mock me. I know what you're up to. You just want to gamble with my money. No, I mean... I can't help it. Tell me where you are now. I'm in a playground near my parents' house. Debt collectors won't be able to find me here. Okay, well, don't move from there. I have a gift for you. After I said that, I hung up the phone and started making calls to a certain place. Then the debt collectors found Jay. He was taken somewhere in a black car. He would have loved my gift. This whole mess started when my father-in-law passed away. Just one person's absence was enough to change the people in my parents-in-law's family. Was it because my father-in-law was such a big part of the family? Or maybe this is what happens no matter who is gone. I'm sure that eventually I will get married and start another family. I will make sure that my next husband does not become a gambler. I will try to make sure that I have a decent mother-in-law.
I bought a high-rise condo in front of the station.
Wait, what? What do you mean? Why did he bring up that story all of a sudden? Besides, he purchased it?
It's great because they have a really nice view and the rooms are clean.
Wait, I don't quite understand. It's outrageous because he moved out of our current apartment and into a luxurious condo that he bought behind my back while I was staying at my parents' house. No kidding, where did that money come from? While I was panicked, he made no apologies and said,
I made a down payment with money gained by selling our...
What?
I'm gonna live with mom and dad in this great house. So I don't need a parasite like you.
He decided to live with his parents without consent and kicked me out. I got so speechless I didn't know where to start. My name is Sarah. I'm a pregnant 32-year-old housewife. I'm 8 months pregnant and counting down the days until I see my baby. My husband, Richard, is 3 years older than me, 35 years old, and he works for a major company. We got married 3 years ago, and I was really happy to finally get pregnant because we had been struggling to conceive for a while. But at the same time, I was terrified of my first childbirth every day, so I visited my husband's parents' house to relax. Sarah, you're gonna have a baby soon, huh? What's it like to become a mother? It hasn't hit me yet. The woman who talked to me like this is the wife of Richard's brother, Jane. She is the reason I visit my parents-in-law's home. I don't talk to my brother-in-law, but I make good friends with Jane because she is a housewife and lives with my parents-in-law. My mother-in-law got weak in the legs 2 years ago, and her family was worried that they would leave her alone at home during daytime. So, Jane, the wife of the eldest son, is looking after her. However, she just sometimes needs a cane a little when walking. She actually can take care of herself. But Jane is caring and also had worked as a caregiver, so as soon as she heard about the mother-in-law's legs, she agreed on taking care of her on the spot. I was impressed with how quickly she could make her decision. My brother and sister-in-law have a 5-year-old daughter already. Because she is a more experienced mother, seeing her can ease my anxiety about pregnancy and giving birth. Time has passed and now I have 1 month until my due date.
I had been planning this for a long time, so I decided to visit my parents' home to prepare for giving birth. While my belly felt heavy, I enjoyed doing shopping for my baby and thinking about our new life. I felt relaxed, as it was the first time in a while to spend a long time at my parents' home, and it felt refreshing. As I spent time like that, I started to have contractions, 2 days after my due date. I tried to contact my husband, but he didn't pick up the phone or texted me back somehow. I first got worried that he was busy with work or he got in some trouble, but as my labor pains quickened, there was no time for that. All I could think about was giving birth to my baby. Then I had my baby safely. I gave birth to a cute baby girl. I held my adorable baby in my arms for the first time, and I felt I couldn't be happier. He was supposed to attend the birth of our baby, but he ended up not showing up to the hospital. Honestly, I wanted to complain to him, but I was too tired from giving birth to do that. So I decided to text him that I had given birth to a baby girl and fell asleep. I guess some time had passed. I woke up to hearing someone calling me.
Are you still asleep?
Huh? Richard? Is it morning already?
Are you half asleep? Get up, Sarah,
Said my husband. When I opened my eyes, I also found his parents behind him. He said happily,
My parents came all the way. You've got to appreciate them.
although I told him beforehand that I didn't want to see anyone as much as possible after giving birth. I wondered why he took his parents here on his own. Why didn't you come here without replying yesterday? I asked him with irritation.
It couldn't be helped, because I promised to go eat sushi with my parents yesterday.
What? He gave priority to that kind of thing? But you could come even after that, right?
Oh no, I drank a lot, so I thought there was no point of showing up drunk. So I was afraid I would be rather a trouble for you.
I can't believe it. He enjoyed drinking and having sushi while his wife was struggling. But he didn't even notice that I was irritated, and he asked me, where's our baby? She is in the nursery. She's a healthy baby girl. As soon as she heard me said so, my mother-in-law made a face. What? A girl? Such a useless wife. What? What did she just say? And my father-in-law also said, both Jane and Sarah blew it. You're pathetic. I can't believe it. He insulted me who went through giving birth rather than thanking me for it. Then even Richard said, oh damn it, I knew it was a girl.
But I was not sure, so I got my hopes up a little. But what the heck?
I didn't get why he was so disappointed. However, he said, my parents had high hopes for us. I thought I didn't have to get worried about air things, as Richard is the second son, but they expected me to have a baby boy because the first grandchild was a girl. But it doesn't matter to me. For me, no matter what kind of child it is, my baby is the apple of my eye. He should feel the same way, but I couldn't stand him as he took his parents' side. Although I was seething with anger, I still felt so tired and sore after giving birth that I didn't even feel like getting angry. Then, a nurse considered my feelings and kicked them out of the room. Apparently, she heard our conversation through the wall. I wept tears and she comforted me. Since then, he never even came to see me in the hospital. Then, my daughter and I have reached the day of discharge. I had my parents come pick us up and went to their house because I didn't want to go home like it is. I wonder why he became such cold-hearted. I feel like he used to be more caring when we got married. What made him become such a person? It might be he really messed up at work 2 years ago and caused a big loss for the company. However, his colleagues made up for it, so he hadn't been called to account after all. But the fact that he dropped the ball made him off the track fast. He can't be back on his career track no matter how hard he works. It's possible that he got apathetic for the situation. That could be the reason he got cold to me even at home. On top of that, one of his colleagues became his boss. My husband was actually better at his work than that colleague when they joined the company, but their positions got reversed because of his mistake back then. I think he couldn't stand it. He started to get stressed about every little thing. Although I felt dissatisfied a little with him, I expected him to change himself when we had our baby, but he doesn't even seem to try. What's gonna happen to our family in the future? I feel overwhelmed with such anxiety. Richard gave me a call suddenly.
Hey, when are you coming back? You've been over there for almost 1 month already since you had a baby.
I wasn't really ready to come back home. Sorry, I'm coming home soon. It's time to turn over a new leaf and get it together for my daughter. Just when I thought so. I've got a lot of stuff for baby, so I want you to come pick us up if you can. When I said so, Richard said something shocking back.
No, you don't have to bring those stuff back. I just have business with you. Maybe I should have just told you to drop by here rather than to come back.
What do you mean? I just didn't get what he was trying to say. Then he told me an even more shocking fact.
I bought a high-rise condo in front of the station.
Wait, what? What do you mean? Why did he bring up that story all of a sudden? Besides, he bought it?
It's great because it's a really nice view and the rooms are clean.
Wait, I don't quite understand. He moved out of our current apartment and moved to the luxury condo he bought behind my back while I was staying at my parents' house. No kidding. Where did the money come from? You should not be able to take out a loan with your salary. While I was panicked, he made no apologies for saying,
I made a down payment again by selling our house.
I found out another new fact. Can he explain more simply, not just giving the facts little by little? It's confusing. What do you mean you sold our house? Where's your parents living now? When I asked him, he looked excited and answered at the drop of a hat.
Daddy and Mommy live with me in the condo now.
What?
I'm going to live with them in this great house, so I don't need a parasite like you. Get the hell out.
He decided to live with his parents without consent and kicked me out. I got so speechless I didn't know where to start. He started to call his parents Daddy and Mommy suddenly, and also told me the fact that they live together in the condo. On top of all that, he told me to get out like asking for a divorce. As I was left speechless, he continued,
You're cocky even though only a housewife. You're useless without my salary. Besides, you've always been a couch potato these days.
What is he talking about? That was only when I had terrible morning sickness. I had been quite busy until right before giving birth other than that. But he wouldn't stop.
Our baby also wasn't a boy. You're totally useless. Mom and Dad are also saying it's better to be with a younger woman who appears to be able to bear a boy rather than a woman like you. Also, they told me they didn't want to live with my brother and his wife together anymore. I'm keeping your stuff in a storage room, so go pick them up sometime soon. Well, that's about it. As for our divorce, I've just sent you divorce papers, so make sure you file them.
Then he hung up on me. I was too shocked and couldn't leave there for a while. Why did I get married to such a bastard? I can't help feeling that I made a really bad choice. But there's nothing I can really say. I have my daughter. I need to get it together for her. After coming to terms with myself for a little while, I made up my mind to cut the connection to him and start a brand new life. I'm not gonna let the bastard control my life anymore. Divorce? Bring it on. I'll make him understand which of us is gonna regret it more. Not to mention, my parents hit the ceiling when I told them about my situation. They agreed to help me to divorce him. As soon as I got divorce papers from him, I signed and filed them. After half a month, he suddenly visited my parents' house.
Hey, what the hell is going on? Why has this much money been withdrawn from my bank account?
He threw his bank book down on the table and yelled at me. But I stayed calm and said this to him. Don't you know the word division of property?
What? That's bullshit. The name for this bank book's account is mine. Plus, I'm not gonna give you even 1 cent.
Last time, I was just being bombarded with words, but I got better both physically and mentally after half a month. I won't be argued down like before. It's true that I put some money in your bank account, but it's our shared property. I actually put my money in the bank account too, so I'm gonna take my own money back.
Screw you. Why would I give you my money?
I got sick of him. Did you already forget? As your salary went down because of your stupid mistake at work, I started a side job at home.
But there's no way you earn that much.
Just so you know, I earned as much salary as you did.
What?
Anyway, I'm gonna have you divide our assets for sure. Plus, you are the one who asked first for a divorce, right? This conversation is now over.
You're freaking kidding me. I don't believe it.
When my father, who kept silent until then, heard him say that, he started to talk.
Well, how about we take it to court over this? Huh? How dare you insult my daughter? I can't help but feel sorry that my daughter had to go through such a rough time because of you, you bastard. Get out of here. Ugh.
My father is a policeman. Having gotten scared of his menacing look, Richard ran away from our house. That's how I broke off the relationship with him safely. We've also settled the issue of asset division. Since then, I've been working hard at raising my daughter, staying at my parents' home. I'm getting used to parenting, and above all, she's just too cute. I'm living a happy life with my cute baby girl. After a few months, I kept getting these unexpected calls from someone. I kept ignoring the calls as I didn't know the number, but they called me a few times, so maybe it's from my boss or colleagues. I decided to answer the call anyway. Hello?
Hello, Sarah?
It was actually Richard who called me. What do you want?
How are you doing?
Huh? I don't really want to talk with you about that. Can I hang up already?
Wait, can you come back here?
What?
I actually have trouble paying my mortgage for the condo and I'm likely to be kicked out.
Oh, okay, well, I'm not surprised. You're short on cash or something, aren't you?
Yeah. I found myself using up all my savings. Daddy strained his back and has a terrible. He had no choice but to quit his job. Mommy boasts to her friends about her life in the and always throws a
Haha, that's so your parents.
I'm at my wit's end with it and don't know what to do.
No wonder. He shouldn't be able to pass the home loan screening with his salary. I guess he was able to buy the condo with his savings, his father's salary, and a down payment on the loan. Now his father can't work, and what's worse, his mother spends lavishly, but he has to pay living expenses for them. There's no way he can pay off the condo.
Then I found out my bank balance was zero, and I was told to get out if I can't pay by next week. Please come back, Sarah. We loved each other once before.
After I laughed a lot, I spoke calmly. Give me a break. You just want to take advantage of me whenever you want, don't you? You're counting on my salary, and you just want someone like a housekeeper who does housework for you, no? When I said so, he fell silent. Also, you called me a parasite, didn't you? Would I not just be in the way?
Well, I just chose the wrong words at that time.
While he was making excuses, I remembered I had something that I'd been worried about. By the way, what about Jane and your brother?
They've already moved out and are living together now. He got in a fight with our parents. When my brother told Dad to live a more suitable, he lost his temper. Dad was like, I don't want to be told anything to do by someone who married to such a useless woman who couldn't even have a baby boy. Then my bro, who's usually calm, blew up. I heard he left the house saying, I'll cut you guys off if you keep making fun of my wife.
I see. Sounds like his brother is a decent person. Good to know that he cares about Jane.
Please come back, Sarah.
Are you stupid? Who would ever come back to you? I have my hands full only with taking care of my daughter. I can't afford to deal with jerks like you guys.
Jerks?
By the way, did you call your parents daddy and mommy at home? It's disgusting to act like that at your age.
Don't say stuff like that, please. You can take our daughter here.
What? Weren't you gonna live with our daughter when you first asked me?
Well, I mean...
Oh, I know. You don't even remember you had your daughter, do you? I would never take my daughter to such a despicable father. Do not ever call me again. If you ever show up again, I'll call the police. My dad is gonna arrest you. When I said so, he made a pathetic sound as if he remembered my dad's menacing look. But I ignored that. hung up, and blocked him. This time he called me with his new number. I changed mine too. A little later, Jane contacted me and we decided to meet up for the first time in a... I'm sorry for not contacting you for a long time. Actually, we moved to the country, so we've had a hard time arranging internet access to our house. Jane and her family have decided to live in the countryside in a peaceful setting. I was invited to her house for the first time and found it to be a very nice town with a rich natural atmosphere. I thought that if my child grew up in such an environment, she would be a very happy and good child. Incidentally, my brother-in-law told me about my ex-husband and ex-parents-in-law who were eventually evicted from their high-rise condo and left with a debt loan. But he has to provide for his parents on his own, and he's having a hard time making ends meet, basically living in the red every day. It was the cherry on top. I, on the other hand, work from home and live out of my parents' house. I can work anywhere. So today, I'm going to go relax at Jane's house for a few days or so and then go home to my parents to spend some time with my daughter. When my daughter is a little older, we can move over here and live near Jane's. With such hopes for the future, I happily spend my days. Buying a high-rise condo while your wife is pregnant is crazy. Well, maybe if you're rich. It's too weird to do that with normal income. At any rate, I'm glad she got rid of such an unlikable husband. I hope you will continue to live happily with Jane and your parents, with everyone getting along together. Thank you for watching to the end. Please subscribe to our channel if you like. See you in the next video.
My name is Amy. I live with my husband, my daughter, and my mother-in-law. My father-in-law passed away early in his life, so my daughter has never met him. I also just met him a few times, but he passed away soon after. So I started living with my mother-in-law just a few years after we got married. My mother-in-law is very sweet to my daughter and my husband. Therefore, my daughter was closer to my mother-in-law rather than me. I was strict with my daughter and tried not to spoil her. So my daughter and my husband, who were spoiled by my mother-in-law, were very hard on me. I felt lonely every day because I didn't have a place for myself. My mother-in-law bought everything my daughter wanted. She spends my income without my permission and asks me to make ends meet with the money that is left over. My husband kept finding a job and quitting. So his salary was not stable and we were living mostly on my money. I told my husband, please get a job. But he would get upset and say, I'm doing my best in my own way, so don't tell me what to do. You're working to pay the bills. I'm supporting you to do that. You should be grateful. I don't understand how he can say such a thing, as he is better than me. He must know that if my salary were to disappear, he would not be able to make a living. But they seem not to care about that, and they just keep spending the money. As my daughter got older, the things she wanted become more and more expensive. I would tell her to be careful, but of course she wouldn't listen to me. I have been wearing the same things for years. My mother-in-law buys my daughter new clothes every week, and she looks down on me. It's my money, but the one whom my daughter says thank you to is my mother-in-law who buys for her. And my daughter treats me like an enemy. She seemed to have forgotten that it was me who earned the money. I sometimes wonder, am I wasting all my effort and time on everyone in this family? I just want to give up everything. But for the sake of my family, I was always thinking in circles and could not come up with an answer. And yet, my mother-in-law would spend money for my daughter, and my husband would spend his own salary for himself, so we had no savings. I sometimes felt afraid that we might not be able to make ends meet without borrowing money. Fortunately, we're not in debt yet, but if they keep buying my daughter whatever she wants, we will not be able to make a living in the near future. So I have warned my husband, mother-in-law, and daughter many times.
You are a non-blood relative to us. I won't let outsiders complain about us. How we use the money is not your business.
That's how it ends up. I wonder who is spending the money earned by someone non-blood relative. Moreover, my husband said, "You want to say that you are earning the money, don't you? But what's wrong with spending it? We're just spending the money we have at home. We're not borrowing money, so what are you complaining about?" He would say things like that. My daughter will be laughing at me. She would say to me, "Work harder." I was depressed because I thought I had raised her wrong. I have to work and do housework every day, and it's really hard. But working makes me not think about my family, so I think it's the best thing to do. No matter what I say, there is no one in this house who will stand by me, no matter how busy I get at work. "Hey, Mill, hurry up." That's all. It's my fault that housework is not done. It's my fault we don't have money. I can't take it anymore. I'm tired of working and I'm tired of being at home. I don't even have time to sleep. So even though I was mad at my family, I honestly did not have the energy to get angry with them. So I got into the habit of working before I got angry. But this life was taking a very heavy toll on my body. One day, my daughter said to me, "I want my pocket money. I'm going to high school now. Grandma does buy me things I want, but I don't have any money." I said, "Why do you need pocket money when you got what you want?"
You're so mean. Ugh, useless. That's why Grandma and Dad don't like you.
She said so and went back to her room. Pocket money. I knew it. I knew that my mother-in-law was giving her pocket money from my salary. She said it was from her pension, but it was my money. My daughter didn't know about that, so she thinks I'm stingy. I don't care about that, but when my daughter's gone, she laughed at me and say,
"You have to earn more money to make a living. Your daughter's on my side, so no one will listen to you."
She smirked and said so. The stress piled up and my family collapsed. The doctor told me I had a stomach ulcer. I needed to be hospitalized and the surgery as soon as possible. When I told my family about it, my mother-in-law said,
"You're not that weak to be put in the hospital."
Then my husband said, "You can't stay in the hospital. You have to work." When I saw their reaction, everything I had endured until then exploded at once. "Enough! I've been supporting you all this time, but I can't take it anymore. I'm leaving." That's all I said, and I left home. I completely cut myself off from them and stopped having anything to do with them. I asked my parents to bring me what I needed for my husband's day and to spend any other belongings to me, even if I had to pay cash on delivery. I also told the company that I wanted to make a new bank book for my salary. I made sure that the three of them could never touch my salary again. My parents said, "We're so sorry you had to endure this. When you finish the treatment, just come back. We'll have a good time living together," they said. I was so worried about going back to my home that I couldn't stay calm in the hospital, but after hearing that, I felt much better. I asked the hospital not to allow anyone but my parents to visit me while I was in the hospital. But neither my husband, mother-in-law, nor my daughter come to visit me. I had a lawyer to help me with everything I needed for my divorce, so that I never had to see them again. The stress was gone. My ex-family members seemed to be against divorce for some reason, saying it was never going to happen, but I don't care. I was at my limit. The division of property seemed to be quite difficult, but they had spent so much money that there was nothing left. so there wasn't much to share, which was easy for me. After I got out of the hospital, I continued to work at a company. Life with my parents was very calm. I didn't feel any stress at all. Until I was gone, they used to spend my money as they wanted, but now they couldn't do it anymore, so I am able to save up a lot of money. And I am able to refresh myself and go on vacations. I feel regret why I had not left earlier. One day, while I was enjoying my morning, after several years of divorce, my husband contacted me. He seemed to be very impatient. "Hey, we've been living on my money for a while, but it reached the limit. Our debts have gone up and we can't pay them back. We've been living as a husband and wife for so long, so you owe me, don't you? Give me some money." How dare he ask me for money? I was utterly disgusted. "Why don't you sell your daughter's various luxury items? Or sell yours and your mother's? Or the house? There are so many ways, aren't there?" When I told him, he got angry at me for being so heartless. I guess he forgot how they had treated me. I clearly refused about the money. I have nothing to do with you people anymore. When I told him that, "You're the only one I can count on. Please." My husband became weak. I had no sympathy for him though. I hung up the phone. Then my mother-in-law and my daughter called me. My mother-in-law said,
I was wrong about you until now. We had a very happy life because of you.
My daughter said,
You gave birth to me, didn't you? Thank you, Mommy. Thank you for earning so much money for us. Let's get back to live together again.
What the hell are they talking about now? I don't know what they're thinking. I was so fed up with this stupid family that doesn't even realize that it was too late for everything. And I rejected all incoming calls. I made up my mind to never get involved with them again. The next day, I got a call from the police. They said that my husband and my mother-in-law had stormed into the hospital where I used to be hospitalized, and they went into the ward where the patients were staying. "Where's my Amy? Come out!" and made a big fuss. The police arrived shortly after and seized them. They stayed overnight in the detention center. They asked me to take them in. I told him that I had nothing to do with them anymore and hung up the phone. I don't know what happened to the family after that, but from the looks of things, I guess the debt got too big and they couldn't do anything about it. Cockroaches are strong, so they may still be able to survive somewhere. By the way, I'm having a good time with my parents. I'm thinking of taking the trip to a hot spring with my family as a token of my gratitude. I didn't know that a peaceful life is such a blessing. I hope I can continue to live a calm life from now on.